Imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table. It's a Tuesday morning. You're drinking your usual cheap coffee, stressed about rent, credit card bills, maybe wondering how you're going to make it to the end of the month. And then, your phone buzzes. You check your ticket numbers one by one. First number, match. Second number, match. Third, fourth, fifth, all match. You've just won $50 million. $50 million! Your heart is pounding. Your hands are shaking. You're screaming. You're crying. You're calling your mom. Life is over. In the best way possible, right? Wrong. Because here's the truth that nobody tells you in that moment. The truth that thousands of lottery winners have discovered the hard way. Winning the lottery might be the worst thing that ever happened to them. Studies show that nearly 70% of lottery winners end up broke within just a few years of their big win. Some go completely bankrupt. Some lose their families. Some even say they wish they had never won at all. But how? How does someone take $50 million and lose it all? That's exactly what we're going to find out today. And I promise you, the answer has nothing to do with math. It has everything to do with psychology. Let me tell you about Jack Whittaker. In 2002, Jack was already a successful man. He ran a construction company in West Virginia. He had a loving wife, a daughter, a granddaughter he adored named Brandy. He wasn't struggling, he was doing okay. But on Christmas morning, Jack stopped at a convenience store and bought a Powerball ticket. That ticket won him $315 million, the largest single lottery jackpot in American history at the time. After taxes, he took home $113 million, still an unimaginable amount of money. People called him a miracle. Churches asked for donations, charities lined up, family members came out of nowhere, cousins he hadn't seen in decades, old friends, complete strangers. Jack was generous. He gave millions to church. He set up a foundation. He bought houses for people. He tipped a waitress $10,000 just because he could. But something was happening underneath all of this. The money wasn't just changing his bank account. It was changing him. It was changing everyone around him. Within 4 years, Jack's granddaughter, Brandy, the person he loved most in the world, died of a drug overdose. His wife left him. He was robbed multiple times. He faced dozens of lawsuits. He was arrested for drunk driving. He had blown through almost all $113 million. And Jack Whittaker, in an interview, said something that should stop all of us cold. "I wish I had torn that ticket up." A man with $113 million, wishing he never had it. That's not a money problem. That is a psychology problem. So, what actually happens in the brain when someone suddenly gets rich? Psychologists call it sudden wealth syndrome, and it's more real than it sounds. Here's what happens. The first thing that breaks is your sense of normal. All your life, your brain has been trained to operate in a certain financial reality. You know what things cost, you know what you can afford, you have limits. And those limits, believe it or not, actually protect you. But the moment that money hits your account, those limits disappear. And your brain has absolutely no idea how to handle it. Think of it like this. Imagine you've been walking your whole life, then suddenly someone gives you a race car and says, "Go." You don't know how to drive, you don't know the rules of the road, and now you're behind the wheel of something incredibly powerful. That's what sudden wealth feels like to the brain. The second thing that breaks is your relationships. There's a famous psychological phenomenon called the money-friendship paradox. When you have significantly more money than the people around you, the dynamic changes. People treat you differently. Some become jealous, some become greedy, some become fake. And here's the cruel part. You can never really know who is genuine anymore. Lottery winners often describe feeling incredibly lonely after their win, surrounded by people yet completely alone, because every single relationship now has a question mark next to it. The third and most dangerous thing that breaks is your decision-making. Psychologists have found that when people receive large sums of money quickly, the brain's reward system gets overwhelmed. It's similar to what happens with drugs. The dopamine spike is so intense that normal, everyday rewards, a good meal, a nice walk, a small paycheck, stop feeling satisfying. You need more, always more. So, lottery winners chase. They gamble. They make crazy investments. They buy things they don't need to feel that rush again. And slowly, systematically, the money disappears. One economist studied lottery winners over 20 years and found that the size of the prize didn't matter. Whether you won $1 million or $100 million, the psychological patterns were almost identical. The problem was never the amount of money. The problem was the person receiving it wasn't prepared. And that brings us to the most important point of this entire video. Now, here's where most videos about lottery winners stop. They tell you the sad stories, explain the psychology, and leave you feeling terrible. But I want to give you something different, because this story isn't really about lottery winners. It's about you, and me, and every single person who has ever said, if I just had more money, everything would be fine. Because here's the brutal truth. More money doesn't solve a broken relationship with money. It amplifies it. If you are bad with $1,000, you will be bad with $1 million. If you spend emotionally when you have little, you will spend destructively when you have a lot. If you don't understand value, no amount of money will ever feel like enough. The wealthy people who stay wealthy, they don't just have more money. They have a completely different psychology around money. They understand delayed gratification, the ability to say no to something good now for something great later. They understand the difference between assets and liabilities, things that make you money versus things that take money from you. They understand identity. They don't see wealth as something they have, they see it as something they are. And that identity doesn't change when the numbers go up. This is why building real wealth is actually a psychology game first and a numbers game second. You don't need to win the lottery. You don't need a windfall. You need to start training your mind to think differently about money every single day. Small habits, consistent decisions, a long-term mindset. That's the real difference between people who build wealth and people who watch it disappear, whether they start with $500 or $500 million. Jack Whittaker had $113 million and lost everything. And somewhere out there right now, someone is building real, lasting wealth starting from almost nothing because they understand something Jack never did. Money without the right mindset is just a countdown to zero. But a mind trained to think about wealth correctly, that is something nobody can ever take from you. If this video made you think differently about money, even just a little bit, then it did its job. Subscribe if you want more content like this. Every week, we break down the psychology behind wealth, success, and the hidden forces that shape your financial life. And before you go, drop a comment below. Tell me honestly, do you think you'd handle sudden wealth well? Or do you think the psychology would catch up with you too? I'll see you in the next one.